daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Daily Manchester United podcast. I am Cormac, back hosting again and joined today with Toluwa. Toluwa, how are we doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Nigeria, big result. It's been I think it's been actually like a week since we talked. Nigeria got the result I was looking for, so I'm happy.
That's good, man. Yeah, and my Ireland just about scraped by Armenia. A man up and everything, got a 1-0 win, but unfortunately Hungary equalised last minute against Portugal, so looking like we're going to have to win against Hungary and Portugal. So at least your country seems like it's having some better luck. So I wanted to touch on Chris Wheeler of the Daily Mail came out and said some pretty extraordinary things. First off, saying that the players have doubts still about Amarim's system. Do you think that's a fair assessment, or do you think the players kind of have it under wraps a bit now?
I feel like the players have at least come to grips with it, just based off the performances that we've seen. Even though they haven't gotten the results we want, I can tell that they're actually getting used to it and they're buying into it. I feel like anytime there's an international break or there's some type of lull in, the news, a slow news day, then always some story about United and the players this, the players that. I'm not buying it this time. I feel like at this point, I've seen enough, especially after the 2-0 win against Sunderland, even the 3-2 win against Burnley, just how together the players look. And I can tell that Amarim is a very no-nonsense guy, but he wants to cultivate a culture and like treats these guys like his family. So I'm not buying it from Chris Wheeler, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree with it. I think if, this was into last season a few months ago, I would agree, but the players look a lot more comfortable under the system. So yeah, I'd have to agree with you. And then maybe his next statement, he said, I don't know if you agree with this one or not, but he said Amarim has favourites, in particular Dalo and Bruno. What do you think about that?
Honestly, I can kind of believe that, honestly. I think when he chose that 6-man leadership group and included Dalo in that, I think that spoke volumes. I don't think it's because they're both Portuguese. I just think Dalo does have great determination. He shows the characteristics of a leader, but unfortunately on the pitch, it doesn't translate. But I can agree with that. I think he does have favorites. And to be fair, Bruno being one of your favorites, I'll take that. I mean, that's our best creator, our best pretty much everything. So Dalo, I can understand fans' frustration, though, because he's been pretty poor. But, I mean, yeah, I can accept that.
Yeah, no, and I think no matter what manager would be there, I think Bruno would be the manager's favourite player. But the Dalo one, I can see. I think, you touched on some of his poor performances. I think he's been given the benefit of the doubt a lot more over other players. Dorgu getting removed from left wing back to get Dalo in. So I can definitely see that one staying true. And then the last thing you mentioned, which isn't ideal news for United fans, is that next summer would be more likely for a midfielder to come in. Obviously we've been linked to Baleba in the past. Adam Wharton. Do you think that's a huge blow? Do you think we'll be able to survive without getting a midfielder in, or do you think that's a top priority right now for us to get a midfielder in January?
Yeah, that's got to be top priority. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a top profile midfielder like Baleba or Wharton. I think we could go for those players in the summer. But just to get another body in midfield, somebody who has the quality on the ball that we're looking for and can also run, has a little bit more legs than the midfielders we currently have. I think that's the most important thing. If we can just get somebody on loan for the remainder of the season, I think that'll be huge. I don't think we always have to go for the flashy, big money moves. We can be a little smart, be a little economical. Like some of our rivals, they go for the cheaper deals and the hopes that those players' potential comes out. So I think we should do something like that. It would be a huge blow if we can't even get one midfielder in. If we can't do that, then we should recall Toby Collier, I think, because we just need bodies in midfield, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, we spent a bit in the summer, and I can see that remark by Wheeler being true in a sense, but I think you made a good point with getting someone in on loan at least. We've seen Sabitzer come in a couple of seasons ago. I thought he'd done a phenomenal job. Just get someone in cheap like that, who's proven can, just another body, as you said, in midfield, would be absolutely huge, no doubt. And then going back to those targets, I mentioned Baleba and Wharton. The German newspaper Bild reported that Joe Bellingham has attracted interest from United amid apparently he's not had a great start to the season over there in Germany. And another midfielder from Germany, apparently, according to United Focus and Dale O'Donnell, United sent scouts to watch Pavlovic, the midfielder from Bayern Munich, play for Germany versus Northern Ireland. Out of them four players, who would you like to see come in if we were able to get at least one of them?
At any point, it doesn't have to be
At any point,
January.
January,
At any
summer,
point.
any point.
I mean, I would love if we could possibly get Baleba in for a cut price. I don't think he's worth the price tag that he's being quoted for. Pavlovic is a good player. I've seen him play for Bayern numerous times now. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Bajcetic from Liverpool. Both two similar profiles in midfield. I think that have a lot of potential. I probably prefer to see, I think everybody would prefer to see Adam Wharton, but I'm struggling to see how he complements Bruno Fernandes. If Bruno decides to stay, maybe if the new direction is to get rid of Bruno, then I'd say probably get him and Baleba in. But that'll be an expensive transfer window. That'll be most of our transfer kitty gone on two midfielders. So then again, I come back to let's be a little smart and be cheaper. Joe Bellingham, I don't think, if he can't get game time at Dortmund, then I don't think he's going to really get game time at United, especially with Kobe Mainu, who I think is considerably better, not being able to get into the starting 11. I'd rather see him push forward than assign somebody that's just going to sit on the bench as well.
Yeah, I think out of those four I mentioned, I think besides Bellingham, you have three starters there. But I think, Bellingham would be more of kind of a rotation player because, he just came up from the Championship. Sunderland wasn't even playing in the Prem. I think his brother's name had a bit to do with getting him over to Dortmund. But yeah, there would be. I'd like to see Wharton, I think, out of all them come in, but with the English tax and, the history of clubs kind of getting a bit more money out of United than probably other clubs, I think that would just be a very expensive one. Baleba, I would love. He'd be another expensive one, but I think he offers, you said Wharton not compliment Bruno. I think Baleba is a lot more athletic than him and would be a good compliment to Bruno, providing cover for him, letting Bruno more of a free role in. Then Pavlovic I haven't seen too much of, to be honest, but I've heard some great things, highly rated, playing for Bayern Munich. He's only 21 years old, I believe. So it'd be interesting to see what, if we were to go down that route, what the price would be for that. But yeah, definitely need a midfielder in, and hopefully it will come in January rather than the summer. We'll go for a quick break and we'll be back with more United talk.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionic, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionic provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right level to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionic. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
So the next person I want to discuss is Marcus Rashford. ITV Sport interviewed him this week at the England camp and asked about would he be in the England team if he had stayed at United. Rashford simply said, "I wouldn't be playing." And then also the Sun are reporting that Barcelona are looking to make the signing of him permanent. What do you think the future is for Marcus Rashford?
Yeah, man, Rashford is just, obviously I would have loved for him to be another one of those players that plays for United his whole career. And I'm sure he would have wanted to as well. When I listened to his interview, he said a lot of, there was too much inconsistency. And I think, he was right in the case that, there was too much chop and change going on ever since he broke onto the scene. He couldn't really settle and have that one system and identity. It was always constantly changing. He was asked to do many different tasks, but when you're a pro footballer, you have to adapt to what's being thrown at you. But at the same time, he was also inconsistent as well. So the inconsistencies, they're all, I guess, compiled into one when you look at Rashford and United. It's just not a good match. So him going to Barcelona, being able to be free, playing in a league where he can actually exploit his pace, and then coming onto the international scene, he still has to prove that he deserves to be there. I feel like England team is just so stacked right now with attacking talent that it's not as easy as it would have been for him to get into the England squad, but he's still a great talent. For the future, I mean, I hope that he does well so that we can make money and sell him on. I think there's no point in trying to, you know, build something back. He's already lost his number 10 to Cunha, so I don't think you can repair that. That's done and dusted. And then Amarim already says he's not the type of character that he wants. So as long as this manager is here, then I feel like Rashford's future lies elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Rashford was spot on saying he wouldn't be playing for United, and that was, echoed by the signings of Cunha and Mbuemo, and when he was already, falling out of the team, and then new signings come in, it seems like, there's real no way back at United, and I agree with you. I think the best thing for us now is if he started the season, I mean, brilliantly over there for Barcelona. The Newcastle game, the goals he scored in that were a joke, really. But if he can just boost that value up and we're able to get as much money as we can, I think that would be the best case scenario for the club. And then moving on to another maybe unpopular winger at the moment, Jadon Sancho. He's been in the news a lot recently. I think he's only made one Premier League appearance so far for Aston Villa. Are you surprised at all by how that loan's gone, or were you kind of expecting it to go that way?
Yeah, no, I was expecting it. Just his character alone, ever since he joined United. And I remember back when Ten Hag gave him, I think it was like a 2-month vacation to get his mental health in order. And he was playing pro clubs at 3 a.m. And I'm like, is this dude serious? Like, it just shows that he's not a serious footballer on the mental side of it. That I think he's more concerned with maybe, if I can get on the pitch and score a goal here and there, then I'm fine. I'm safe. And then coming to Aston Villa, a team that has lost considerable amount of talent. They lost Leon Bailey. They've lost Jacob Ramsey. So those are positions that Sancho plays in on the left, on the right, and he can't even break into this team. That says a lot. And with all the off the field drama that he's going through, I think this is kind of karma catching up to him. Because for one, he could have easily chosen to stay with Chelsea, a top team in the league. They already knew how he played. He was able to fit into that team really well. Decided to be greedy. Comes back to United. Could have moved to Roma. Could have moved to many different teams where he would have actually been a great impactful player. But yet he's decided to stay in the Prem in a league that I can tell just doesn't suit him all the way. He's not as quick as we once thought he was. He's not really the hardest worker. But when he's in the right environment, I can still see a player there. But when your attitude stinks like that, yeah, I think he's laid the bed, or he's made his bed and now he's laying in it.
Yeah, and if it came to it, would you be open to just getting rid of Sancho for free completely?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, you would be.
Yeah, I think it's time to just take the loss on some players, and it doesn't seem like we'll ever recoup the value for the likes of Maguire and Sancho and Casemiro. So just let them go and start anew. That's the L we have to take, but it's better than to just keep loaning him out every season to random clubs.
Yeah, no, it's becoming a whole circus, really. And, Sancho, I don't know what happened with him. So much promise, but it seems like he's just very content with just getting a paycheck. I mean, you touched on being greedy. Yeah, it seems like he's just trying to find somewhere with the most money. That's all that matters to him. He doesn't really seem to care about just, getting the football back to what it was. If I was him, I'd look to, drop down maybe not a few levels, not in terms of club, not league, but look to find football again, get playing time in. And I would have thought Aston Villa, they lost some players he would have fit in there, but no, it's just it seems to be just getting bad to worse from him, really. So we'll see what happens with him come summer and the end of that loan. You touched on Casemiro there as well. I know we talked about him a bit the last day. A lot of reports coming out today have this one from ESPN that Casemiro actually is looking like he'll be signed to a new contract, but determined on him taking a pay cut. Um, are you fine with that? I know we kind of talked a bit about the last day. Will we keep him or will we not? But it seems like that's the way it's going to go. A lot of news reports or news articles, stating that.
Yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, I would let him go at the end of the season. But if it's a case like, them offering Maguire a 1-year extension at a lower rate, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I think I saw that report as well. It said that, they admire his characteristics off the field, his leadership, all of that. I mean, those are great things to have, especially when you're trying to rebuild. You still want those players that can motivate. Like someone like Tom Heaton, who has really impressed a lot of us, I think, especially during preseason. So much so we wanted him to be in the starting 11. But I think Casemiro is one of those players that can add a lot of valuable experience on the mental side. But if we're looking to move on and to sign newer players, we might as well just get the older guys off the books. Um, I'm still under the impression that, or I'm still of the opinion that we should let him go. But if the club is willing to, or if he's willing to take a pay cut for the club, then it's not a big deal at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. I think the main thing is if he takes that pay cut, it's not the end of the world, especially, if we can get in a young midfielder like we're talking and Casemiro can be there to kind of mentor in a way. I think that would be, superb. But I mean, yeah, his legs are kind of going now, and he's on so much money that if he's just looking to sign a contract without taking much of a pay cut, yeah, I'd say it's time for him to move on, no doubt. And then also regarding Casemiro, we have the Liverpool match coming up, but he's played 2 90-minute matches now for Brazil on the other side of the world, and he's going to be, flying back only a few days before the Liverpool game. Do you think that's going to play a big factor for maybe us not seeing Casemiro on the starting lineup against Liverpool?
Yeah, I think, I think honestly, if Ruben Amarim has done his homework, which he's a smart guy, I'm sure he's always constantly looking for ways to help the team. I think Casemiro probably shouldn't start the game in the first place, only because with the way that Chelsea were able to kind of do what Liverpool do and just press them out of the match entirely and kind of completely squeeze the midfield. I don't think we can do that with Casemiro. I think if we play Casemiro, we're really expecting to sit back and counter for sure. And I think there's a game to be had if we, in moments, take Liverpool on and kind of force them into passing back, not really playing the way that they want to. But to your point, him coming back from, a long international break, he's going to be tired. I mean, like you said, his legs are not what they once were. And just that mental fatigue and being tired from traveling and playing the full 90 minutes, that's going to take a toll on him for sure. I think that will definitely factor into Ruben Amorim's decision, especially if he goes with the mentality that, okay, we need to get stuck in and we need to be in their faces. We can't let them have too much time on the ball. If that's the mentality that he goes with, then yeah, I can see, honestly, Menu starting this game. The signs would all point to Ugarte, but I don't know. I feel like this is the moment where Menu can actually take a hold of this position alongside Bruno. So
yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see who Amarim ends up going with. I think, though, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Casemiro should play. I don't think he will play. I think, the way Liverpool can play, especially how quick they can move the ball and stuff, I feel like Casemiro were to start, we might see one of, his, I forget who it was last season, but he just couldn't string a pass together. He had like the worst opening half ever, kept giving the ball away. I could see something like that maybe happening just with him being, jet lagged, being tired, legs kind of not feeling that great. Because, yeah, I mean, to play 180 minutes, and be flying all over the world, definitely catches up to you. And then to go and play, a Premier League title contender, I think best option, I think, would just to be give him a rest. And as you said, start Menu, or I think more likely we'll see Ugarte, but I would like to see Menu in there. And then final player I want to discuss is, according to BBC Sports and Simon Stone, there's potential Joshua Zirkzee to leave in January. Obviously he hasn't been getting too much game time, but would you be okay with that, or would you like to keep him as a squad player?
I think it would be beneficial to keep him as a squad player. I don't think he's good enough to bench any of our front three. So it makes sense as to why he would want to leave to get game time. But if we let him go, then Šeško is our only option. And then we're back to Højlund all over again, where we're just playing him every single game. Granted, we only have one game a week, but when the FA Cup comes around, and this time we hope that United don't just get knocked out in the first game they play, but Zirkzee will be able to be a part of the squad and hopefully, prove that he should be in the starting 11 in some capacity. But if we were to let him go, I'm always under the impression that we have to get in a replacement, because I just remember last season, and I think this is part of the reason why Amarim and the team struggled in the league a lot, is because we let go of Antony and we let go of Rashford on loan without any replacement. And that really took a toll when Amad Diallo got injured, because he went into this great run of form and then got injured, and it completely derailed any type of momentum. So I'm always under the impression that we have to get a replacement in if we let him go. But I think Zirkzee is good enough to be a squad rotation player for us.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think if Højlund was still around, I'd be 100% okay with Zirkzee leaving. Obviously, we're thin there. Maybe Cheeto is the only one we have behind him, but we've seen him play a bit last season, but he's too young still really to be relied on in that aspect as a backup striker. But it'd be dependent. We'd have to get someone on if he left, but I don't really blame Zirkzee if he wants to leave, because he is good enough to be getting more game time than what he is. And it's going to be hard to see him ever kind of solidifying that strike role ahead of Šeško, granted that we spent so much money on Šeško. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I think we're in agreement. He should stay. Toluwa, thanks for joining me again today. I believe I'll be back with you on Friday again for another episode. In the meantime, check out the other guys who'll be on hosting episodes over the next couple of days. And if you want to read any articles mentioned today, they'll be on the show description link below. So thank you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.